Okay, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the CSHR Radio Random Happenings. Late night special edition. With, of course, Miss Herbalations herself, Jackie Hyde. Anyhow, God, we have so much to talk about on this beautiful, beautiful Friday night, don't we? There's so much to talk about.
So much to talk about. I got bird eyes.
Bird eyes, yeah. So should we talk about the birds, or should we save that for a different?
We're gonna have to save that for a different day because I'm not studied.
No, yeah, it's just the whole thing is just weird.
Science has changed the birds on me since last time I did bird research.
Yeah.
Probably to settle all the people that just seem to think that everything's out there to watch them. I mean, some people really need to get used to the fact that you're not that interesting. They don't want to watch you 24/7.
No, they really don't. They really don't. I don't get that either. It's like, how can people go so crazy? But oh my god, if being watched and followed, I'm like, look, as someone who has been watched and followed, that only happens if A, you're important enough, and B, people like your message. And C, well, the combination of A and B, pisses off the ones at B. Other than that, your mom's a Friday, harsh. Well, I thought she was a Monday. Anyway, the point is,
My mom's a Friday. Oh,
awesome. Anyway, the bottom line being is, I did not know. Like, I did not know just how ridiculous people are. It's like, if you're not involved in anything that matters, no one's gonna pay attention to you.
HR is on a leave of absence.
Yeah. HR is gonna quit until we start paying her some actual money.
Yeah, my current job pays me too much money to be here on time now.
Yeah.
I'm pulling a harsh.
What can I say? That's why I do what I do. Plus, it's like there's 5 people on the damn show. Y'all can do whatever you got to do. So
I'll still be here Sundays though. So if you guys need to catch me on Sunday, catch me on Sunday. But if we do these late night things, I might be here. Right. Just we won't have a Scott, unfortunately, because Scott needs to sleep, and I understand that because I need to sleep at the time he's going to bed too.
No, that is very true.
But Jackie decided to start fighting people and telling people that maybe they need to start thinking about their life choices more often because, man, some of these people be making really shitty life choices and trying to blame everybody else aside from themselves, and understanding that, the shit we were taught in the mid 2000s might have saved your damn lives nowadays. But instead, you'd rather just be like, Callie, I'm going to go do all these dumb things, and then I'm going to blame everybody else for my shitty actions.
Yeah, it's a mess. It really is. I don't get that with people, but,
I mean, we steady stay playing the blame game. But, I mean, the only people you can blame are the people that aren't there.
Yeah. Well, that's so
my rules at work.
Will we share this to our chat?
That way Hoey can show up.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is just a mess. Is Harsh going to explain how he's going to mold Hoey into a proper minion for his supremacy agenda? He's already there. I just need to get him to understand 1 or 2 more points, and he's going to be the perfect white supremacist soldier. He's going to be He already has the look. He already looks the part.
I mean, you're not wrong, but we all know the true white supremacist in this place is Jackie.
No, you're the true ginger. I mean, that is true.
Yeah, the true ginger that developed a goddamn sun allergy this summer. Like, how do you do that? How do you develop a sun allergy? Like, I actually get hives from being in the sun for less than 5 minutes.
And you work outside all the time.
Yeah, they have us wearing long sleeve coveralls though. So, I mean, if there's no skin to be touched by the sun aside from my face, can't get hives.
That's weird. Maybe she needs to steal some souls. I kind of agree with Chloe.
Okay, I legitimately have gave up stealing souls lately because I got tired of acquiring new freckles on my nose to cover up with foundation.
Right.
Only other way to cover it up is to get face tattoos, and I'm not that white. Like, I'm white, but I ain't that white.
No. There's people who shall not be named that are much whiter than that you may or may not be linked with.
Hi, Owie.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you have weed.
Yeah. Foundation tastes horrible. That's good.
It does. It literally does. So there's this chick. Yes, she's white. Yes, she's blonde. She makes these Facebook reels, and I mean, like, I'm guilty. I watch them. And she's making fun of girls in like the 1990s and the 2000s, back when they used to put foundation on their lips because foundation lips were the in thing. How am I West Coast now? How am I more West Coast than I was before?
Yeah, you're so West Coast now. The hat backwards, the pigtails.
Listen, Hoey, you weren't here for the other part.
You're like a bootlegged. You're like a Canadian like Wish version of Alex. Of Squirrel now.
It's so bright. Yes, it's bright. Jackie's on Pacific Standard Time now, so it's only 8:47 p.m. for me.
Yeah.
As opposed to all of you other motherfuckers that are like, oh my god, it's so late. So late. No.
Right.
Fucking 8:45.
Yeah, exactly. Ross says, I am proud to glow in the moonlight, you lopsided hanging lamp. Agreed. No, but
Wait, does that mean I attract the moths?
Yes. And the cicadas.
Perfect.
You come down here, you'll attract the cicadas too. Anyway, but the point being is, I just find it weird that everyone gets so worried about surveillance when it comes to the dumbest things that don't even exist. But when it comes to the actual surveillance that takes place, no one even seems to say a word.
No, they really don't, because they don't notice it at that point. They're like, oh, it's just a drone. And it's like, yeah, it's just a drone. But why is that drone in a no-fly zone?
Yeah. Right.
Alexia is the NSA watching Hoey. So how did you get her name, or is that Alexa?
It's Alexa, but he's drunk, so he's misspelled it.
Oh, I don't have an Alexa. They named my freaking AI in my phone Gemini now. Now it's Gemini.
Wow.
So they have split personalities. My AI totally has split personalities. 1 minute, my AI is like, here to help you. The next minute, my AI is like, no, I can't talk to you because you're too vulgar.
I know. Howie says, I didn't want to say Skynet. I didn't want to key the Skynet. That's not how that works. If anything, the NSA is spying on the giant glare on your forehead.
Yeah, that bald spot's getting a lot of attention.
I know. He looks like a cone head. He looks like a cone head.
Okay, but like, let's be real. Coneheads was massively underrated for a movie at its time. Okay,
It really was. And you know what else is underrated for its time? A lot of the rebellion, like we were talking about this earlier, a lot of the backlash from some of these like feminist activism movements. Like that's very underrated. Like people like Hoey would not feel empowered unless unless the Me Too movement pretty much sabotaged the feminist movement, and even the trans movement sabotaged the feminist movement. If you think about it, it's like, I don't know.
we fought so hard for those titles and for that respect because like we're moms, you know, we're originally it died out the respect that mothers and homemakers did have. Okay. And I'm not saying like we need to go back to those times, but the fact that nobody has the respect for what it actually took to be a homemaker in like the 1960s to the 1980s, like the stuff that women did nowadays is so much easier. Like, I'm sorry, you can go out and buy pre-cooked chickens and all that crap. You're not sitting there all day making bread in the morning, sending the kids off, making sure the laundry's done and strung up in the yard to dry out. Now all you got to do is throw it all into a all-in-one washer dryer combo, walk out of the house, turn on the crock pot and leave. Like y'all stay-at-home moms don't do the shit you did in the 90s. Stop acting like it's a full-time motherfucking job because it isn't. I've done it.
Yeah, wow. Well, no, Ross, I don't spy on everyone who wears a tinfoil. I spy on people who I spy on people like you and Hoey because you both are the same person. No, but in regards, that is true. Obesity and diet in regards to that situation. And yes, mothers against yes. I mean, you know what? I hate to say it, but fast food. There's too many options. I mean, and you know what's so crazy? I remember going to a show on like honestly 2 Fridays ago. The friends at the neighborhood, at their band called the band called The Neighborhood. They love our show and everything, right? So we go there, and as I'm like leaving as I'm leaving the place, it's just chill with just to chill and have a few like brews outside, right? I noticed 3 or 4 different restaurants in the same damn plaza. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. How many options for food do we need in a given area?
You're not wrong. It's like when we were just got into this city for work, there's a Tim Hortons, an A&W, a Wendy's, and a Subway, a sushi place, a taco place, all in the same damn square. Like you park in that square and there's all those food options. Go out, turn right, drive 2 minutes down the road. There's another Tim Hortons, a McDonald's, a Wendy's, an A&W, and all that in the same plaza. Like you only got to drive 2 minutes to go to the same damn food restaurant you just left.
Right. It's too much. It's too much. I remember one time, this was like going to my cousin's place in Michigan. We walk out like not even like a few miles, not even like a few blocks. We go to a plaza. What's the same thing? Half of it's full of restaurants and bars, and then maybe a grocery store. It's just like that's the problem. All the creativity is left like technology and industry and some of these other industries, and they've just moved it to food.
Well, I mean, coming from somebody that I am like Hoey, I have eaten fast food almost every day at the end of the day for a good long while, predominantly because it costs the same amount for me and Chad to go out and eat fast food when we get off work at 8 p.m. at night.
Right.
As it is to go to the grocery store and buy the stuff to make the same damn meal.
Yeah.
So you're stuck at that point where the world has literally made your groceries cost as much, if not more, than it is to go get that fast food.
At that point, I'd still rather get the groceries. At least you stretch them out for a few extra meals.
I mean, you can, but go out and get 3. They have all these deals now. Go get 3 large pizzas for $20.
Yeah.
3 large pizzas can feed me and Chad for 3 days if we wanted to. But I mean, like, who's going to let a pizza go to waste? Come on.
No one's going to do that. Roz is basically making the redundant statement of the day, saying restaurants should be in towers in all corners, all one building, each floor, each different food. Get on that, Jackie, when you conquer the planet. That's already the case in like most of these cities, is it not?
See, they don't put them in the towers here, right? Like they're not in towers where you got to go, but like they do put them on every corner.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this right now. I would go to a restaurant that was like multiple different levels and like you get a different food on each level, but you can buy like a taster pack. I'd be fat.
I think some restaurants in other countries, they do have that.
Cold pizza is delicious and it holds the toppings on better than when it's hot. So you can dip it in the ranch dressing and eat it without all the cheese and the toppings sliding off.
I will never understand white people and their love for ranch dressing.
I love ranch dressing so much, but I love to mix it with like spicy food. So you get like that little bit of like
No,
that ranch sweetness, but then you get that real kick of like a habanero pepper on it.
yeah, absolutely. No, I was excommunicated from that like after 2016. No, I was excommunicated from this one. It says Harsh is secretly a plan for the feminist agenda. No, they kicked me out after like 2016 because I voted for the wrong woman for president.
The wrong woman? Who was the right woman?
Well, according to the feminists, the right woman was like one of the most evil people in the entire world. So,
but who? I'm curious because I don't follow those damn feminists. I follow them to kick them in their coochie.
Right? No, it's the third wave types who are like, "Oh, we want it. I'm with her. I'm with her."
Oh, you mean like the ones that are like, we don't need men. We can have kids without men now. We don't need your penis.
Right. The ones that was supported, one of the most evil war criminals in our country at the time, Hillary Clinton. So, yeah, they'll talk about how feminism is important, but then support someone like that. And yeah, that's when they kicked me out because I didn't want to vote for her. I voted for the other lady in the race. But the bottom line is that leads to a whole other saga that happened 2 years later with certain of those networks. So anyway, but which we could get into or not get into, I don't know. But that'll be a different episode.
I mean,
story time. Unless we're
the feminist movement has made it so that people like you and Hoey regularly go, look at her, she a liberal. But then again, I go online last night and I decide that Jackie's bored. Jackie hasn't fought with anybody on live in a while. So Jackie gets on a live on TikTok with this guy that's like, I'm pro anti-bear. You choosing the bear. I'm anti-bear. And I'm like, okay, why are you anti-bear? Goes through his tirade. Next day I jump on his live. And I fight back at him with his own nonsense. And that guy goes, you're literally making me argue with you like I'm a liberal. Like I feel like I'm a liberal right now. I'm like, you are a liberal the way you're talking right now. But apparently I'm anti-woman. So all the women on TikTok officially hate me.
Right. No, I mean, it's gotten to the point where people like Hoey and I, we will trade notes on who's whack and who isn't. But on a more serious note, people like you being called anti-woman is the reason why is at this point a byproduct of why the Me Too movement failed.
Because the byproduct of why the Me Too movement failed is because Amber Heard got busted lying through her damn teeth in a court of law, and she was one of the main starters of the Me Too movement. Yet she was up there abusing and treating somebody like absolute crap while spouting, no, we can't be abused. You can't abuse women. So women can go out there, cut off men's fingers, gaslight men, use their money, financially abuse them, but they can't be held to the same standards as a man that apparently can and get the do not argue with me on this, because some woman told me you can get sexually assaulted in front of your group of friends and nothing will happen to that man.
Yeah. I mean, the Me Too movement crashed even before that. Like the minute Biden ran for office, that's when the Me Too movement really created on itself. It's like, wait a second.
Amber Heard was literally the creator for it.
No, she
100%.
She was. Did that happen a year after the?
No, it didn't. That happened before Biden was elected. Trump was still in government when Amber Heard and Johnny Depp went to trial in Virginia.
2020 or 2019 or 2019? Because
it started at like the beginning of COVID.
Okay, so March 2020. That was around the time when the Tara Reade stuff started happening, and a bunch of supposed feminists were like saying, "Oh my God, how could Tara Reade's a Russian bot? How can you trust her?" And I know it's going to sound very sexist what I'm about to say, but I don't care. I looked at a photo of her from 1993 and a photo of Biden from 1993. I'm like, yeah, Biden's guilty. Like I looked at it. I know that sounds so sexist to say, But I looked at each of those their photos from 1993, and I'm like, yeah, Joe Biden did it. But who are we kidding? Stop.
Okay, but if Batman sexually assaulted somebody in a back alley, would anything happen to Batman, or would it be every woman's wet dream? That is the question. Now, are we talking Michael Keaton Batman, or are we talking after that? Because that'll also play into if the women are going to all of a sudden lie and say they were SA'd in a back alley by Batman.
I mean, if it's Michael Keaton, they might say it. Who are we kidding?
Dude,
But,
if Michael Keaton was Batman, I would say that was total consent.
you think he's got that? You think he's still got that pull? Because I remember people complained about him being Batman when it came out. But
I mean,
he
people
was
complained
Birdman,
about Ben Affleck being Batman, and I understand why until I actually thought about the time frame that he is actually supposed to be Batman, and it was supposed to be an older, dragged out Batman, so I was able to accept Ben Affleck. But Ben Affleck is like, I honestly am one of the few women that does not swoon over Ben Affleck at all. Like, I actually
No.
hate the man with a burning passion.
No, I mean Michael Keaton was like sneaky. In '89, he was a lot more dapper back then.
He was terrible as Batman if you were going to take Batman at like his 30s as opposed to his like late 40s, early 50s. If you're going to, that's like the only reason that, what's his name? I can't remember his name right now. It's not Gerard Butler, but it's the other one that played Logan, Wolverine. What's his name?
No, Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. The reason Hugh Jackman worked as Wolverine throughout all the years is because Hugh Jackman aged like Wolverine did when he became Old Man Logan. Right. Whereas Michael Keaton aged too fast to continue playing Batman at the rate that Batman was supposed to still be.
Yeah, but I just think people complained about it in general when it came to the Batman movie with him, which is weird because he was great in Birdman. But then, the whole Batman thing was retarded, knowing his character, because it's like, wait a second. Batman is one of the wealthiest people in the world. You don't think he can just buy his way out of anything or buy his way to get anything?
That's how he became a superhero. He bought his costume, bought his cars, right, bought his underground lair, bought his butler. And let's be real. If it wasn't for Alfred, Batman would be nothing. Right. He would be nothing without that old, frail man, which is why I love Archer, because, Archer, as much as he treated Woodhouse like crap, at the end of the day, Archer loved the shit out of Woodhouse's butler. And when Woodhouse died, that was the end of him.
No, that was true. But, no, that's true. But I'm just thinking, but think about it. He has all that stuff, right? But let's say he's like upset with how he looks, or he's not getting, enough hormones or whatever. That guy could just get that shipped to him and taken care of underground right away.
Well, I mean, he owns Wayne Industries, and Wayne Industries creates 90% of those things. So he could, in theory, afford an age stopper, but then he can't carry on his relationship with the lady he likes, because then he's got to buy it for the lady. Yeah. And then the lady's kids are going to want it, and then it's going to become expensive, and then you're no longer a hero.
Yeah, but the way Batman moves half the time, he'll get his lady friend killed because, he doesn't want to kill the Joker for some false moral reason. So it's like, well,
But like, I mean,
reference, but yeah.
You know what everybody always forgets and they never bring up anymore when they talk about the Joker and Harley Quinn, because nobody's read the comic books. But like, Harley Quinn literally gave birth to the Joker's daughter and left the Joker over it because the Joker was going to mistreat her daughter.
I mean, the Joker wasn't interested in being a father, so it makes sense.
That's true. Wayne Industries did kind of fuck around off Gotham regularly.
Yeah.
Wayne Industries was like the monopoly of like everything in the DC universe.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. No,
again, guess who never complained about women's roles in Batman? Any of the women.
Right.
Feminism wasn't a problem because the women knew that they could still be badass and support their men somehow.
Well, I mean, the problem now is that people don't want equality; they want supremacy. They want
They
privilege.
do. They want supremacy. They want to be the ulterior gender. They want to be the ulterior man. They want to strive to be top of the line. And it bothers me so much because I talk to people that like I care about deeply and I get to know, and all you can hear coming out of them is, I want to be rich. I want to be a CEO. I want to be this. Is that what's going to make you happy though? Or is that going to change you? Is that going to change your views in life? Because I've watched so many people climb through the ranks and become one of those higher ups, and that money instantly changes them, the way that they interact, the way that they do, because they feel like they're supreme in some way, right?
Yeah,
Whereas, like, I like to find myself as one of those people that wants to bring back the ideology of communication and teamwork.
yeah, exactly.
And we were talking about this earlier in the night. One of
Yeah,
the reasons I actually do thrive for city states. Back in the day, when you think of city states, you think of a man and a woman buying their house and buying their farmland. They create their children, they teach their children how to live their way, carry on that family name, and work together as a family unit. Now, when you look at a lot of these Eastern societies or even Asian societies,
yeah,
regularly you live with your grandparents and your parents, and it's not frowned upon. It's not looked at like, oh, you live with your mom. It's like, no, I take care of my mom because my
exactly.
mom took care of me, and I work with the rest of my family unit to
Everyone-
provide for my family unit because we are a team. We're not a singular entity. You're not just the
Right.
mom, you're not just the dad, you're not just the grandpa. You're the family unit.
It is.
That
No,
is teamwork.
that's how it is in even our cultures. Like you'll have it where you will live with your parents or grandparents, or if you are in a situation where you'll have your children and parents living together, so you have three generations in one house. And in other countries, like this is even here they live like this, but in other countries, you'll have it set up to where you can live in the same house that your grandparents grew up in, that your parents grew up in, and your house can go like you could go back generate. You can actually trace your lineage back generations. You know.
Nowadays, like I know people that I constantly ask. I'm always curious. I'm like, what's your heritage? What's your culture? Because I know what my heritage and my culture is.
Right.
But I know so many people that to this day they do not know where their family came from. They do not know who their lineage is. They do not know what their background is, where their family came from
Right.
at all. I can trace my family back to being one of the first parliament members in Europe that came from Wales.
Right.
But that's because I know where my family came from. I know my family name, but it's not something that's talked about anymore. Like
No.
when I go out and talk to people, you don't hear about people talking about their weekly gatherings. Like you remember back in the day when friends would
Yeah.
get together on like
Oh,
every Friday or every Saturday and you'd have game night or something like that, right? Like where you would catch up, have some drinks, play some board games, play some card games, and then
yeah.
go away. When's
That's
the last
all.
time you had a gathering?
I think the only time I ever have any sort of gathering is if I go to open mic night or I go to Sal's, which is not that often because I mean, and even those are wild cards, and that only depends if the regulars are there or not. I mean, back in the day, I used to have gatherings with friends and family all the time. What about
So
you? When's the last time did you have it? Because I know you're far more busier than I am as a person. So.
well, for me, the last time I actually had like, let's say a friend gathering was the last time we were out of town at work. And
Right.
that's because we all lived close to each other. Um, Actually, no, we did have one this winter. It was short-lived and it didn't end well, but we did have a gathering. Family gatherings died when my dad died, actually, because when my dad passed away, the rest of my family was like, F you guys, bye. You guys'
Yeah.
dad died. We don't give a shit. So
No,
I've learned to live my own life, create my own family, but I do miss those days when we would all go out to my uncle's house for the weekend. We'd blow off fireworks in their yard. We'd have a bonfire, watch movies, and the kids would just go off and do their thing so the parents could unwind and, recover from the work week.
no, that's true. I mean, and it goes back and to go back to like tracing your lineage and such. That's good. I'm glad Howie remembers that what he actually is because
Howie, I am Welsh as well, my friend. I'm Welsh and German.
hey, wow. Well, I mean, technically, the Welsh came from the Welsh and the Brits came from the Germans. So.
They did. That's why I kind of find it funny that my dad, who was born and raised in Wales and England, who moved here when he was 16, which is why I do know my lineage, because I am first generation
Right.
Canadian born.
Ah, cool.
And my mom's side of the family moved straight from Germany and German occupied Poland.
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got some interesting history. That's why I felt the need to know my heritage, because my history is absolutely entertaining. Like, so much rich history.
No, that's true. But I mean, that's good that someone like Hoey knows it, because at the end of the day, like, all in all seriousness, no one should be identifying by skin color as much as they should be identifying by nationality. Because if you don't know who you are as a person, then it doesn't matter what you look like.
Oh, absolutely. But I think that you find who you are. And this is something I've discussed with multiple people recently, is I think you find yourself in 3 to 5 different stages in your life. So like when you're like between the ages of 5 and 10, you really find out who your young self is. And your young self is never going to be the same as your teen self.
No.
Your teen self will help shape who your adult self is. And your adult self from your elderly self is going to be very different than any of your other predecessors. You are going to find yourself in multiple different times in your life. And it's all based on everything that you accumulate, your, what do you call it, memories, your interactions, all those things, they shape who you are as you progress. So I think we're always playing that game of finding ourselves and who we are in this situation. Because I'm not who I was 5 years ago. I'll tell you that right now. If you met me 5 years ago, you wouldn't even know who I am today.
No, that's probably, I think you could say the same thing of even myself at this point. I think after I think the shutdown changed a lot of people.
Even the shutdown, like that helped shaped me a little bit, but like during the lockdown, it came at a good time in my life because I was already going through turmoil and trauma that I needed to process and recover from. And once you process and recover from certain traumas, that does change who you are.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people too, they don't really find who they are until their parents pass. And I'm finding that with a lot of my friends now. I experienced my parents passing when I was young. Whereas my friends, they're finding out or learning who they are without their parents at their 30s and their 40s because their parents have just died. So now you're finding a new version of yourself and where you feel and where you place in your family unit now. Because you don't have grandma and grandpa, you don't have mom and dad no more. You've got you. You're the head of the family now. That's a new personality, 100%.
That's so true. No, and I don't think people realize that.
And your values change too as things change in your life. Like,
Yeah. No, that's what people don't realize. Like, as you get older, what you believed was true before is not always going to be true.
no.
But, that's why, even this whole like white privilege thing, white male privilege, really isn't a thing anymore, because, they're the people being attacked the most. I hate to say it. I mean, that's why some white males would rather become trans and reclaim, do that, which is weird. Like, I could see Hoey definitely transitioning to a woman just so he could get like more benefits.
Oh, literally the only reason he would transition to a woman is just so he could live out his full fantasy. You can't have a train run on you as a man and walk out with pride, okay?
Right, exactly. Hoey's.
I'm sorry, Hoey.
No, remember, he said he out Karen the liberals for 6 months. So I mean, he could out Karen them again if he transitioned.
But is he gonna do it like Caitlyn Jenner did and regret it right after and go back and try to become Bruce after having his head chopped off?
Well, to be fair, Bruce was probably forced to transition, knowing the family curses.
He was forced to transition and take title of Woman of the Year in his first year of being a woman. Like, the fuck?
Right, yeah, that was to him being Woman of the Year was like fucked. But like, he did, but knowing that the curses that the men face in that family, he was probably told, look, Bruce, if you don't transition to Caitlyn, you're going to go out like Robert Sr. You're going to go out like Robert Sr. and you may be like Robert. Like look at all the men in that suffer. I mean, the guy who probably got away the cleanest was Rashad McCants and Scott Disick, because Rashad McCants failed as a basketball player, and freaking Scott Disick was just some like rich white trash idiot. But I mean, you had Rob Kardashian Jr. He's like obese and he's got his mental health issues. Rob Kardashian Sr. He died of cancer. Freaking Lamar Odom almost died of a drug overdose. Of a 72-hour bender in Vegas because he was with Lamar Odom. I mean, it's like, look at what's happened to Kanye because of them. I mean, look at what Kanye's fighting against because of that nonsense.
I mean, Kanye is fighting a little bit, but Kanye ain't fighting nearly as much as we think he is. He's just putting that out there because it will help boost his platform, because now we're in a society, unfortunately, because only Hollywood stars choose to they all move out of Canada, move to the United States. It's just a given. They always do. So now you got freaking TV stars and Hollywood movie stars running for freaking president of the United States. Like, of course, Kanye is going to put himself in a position where he's now being attacked, because the more that he's in the public's eye and being attacked and people are feeling for him on an emotional level, the next time he decides to put his name on a ballot, his freaking voting stance is going to go up from like 18,000 to like close to 100,000 votes, as opposed to what he got last time.
No, that's true. But my thing with the Kanye thing is, yes, as someone who's from the Chicagoland area, I've known about his rise for years. He's always been an attention whore. He's always been an attention seeker. Like, I get that. He's always been a flamboyant personality. But that being said, I highly doubt he'd be like this if he didn't impregnate one of the Kardashians. I think he'd just be his usual flamboyant self and nobody would care, as opposed to some of the crap he's dealt with in the last few years. It's just that Kardashian curse when it comes to the men in their life. Like Max was saying, oh, you got to watch out. Don't talk about them. Like, bro, I'm not related to them. I haven't been inside them. I'm safe. Like it's all good. But Pete, Holy says Pete Davidson is safe though. For now. I mean,
he's already halfway trans. Don't even deny that. That man is literally making out with Machine Gun Kelly every damn night for funsies.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, and also Pete Davidson's not really. I mean, he's kind of been stunted at this point. So
there was a time I did like Tom McDonald. I don't like him so much anymore. I stopped liking him about 2 years ago because it became too much of a narrative for him, and not so much as like something that I feel he actually truly believes that he's saying 90% of the time.
Tom McDonald, yeah. When I saw his video with Ben Shapiro, it was just just too much. It's like, dude, come on. You're repping with a guy that even most right wingers can't stand. Like, you're such a controlled op.
100%.
But then again, his girlfriend's named Nova Rockefeller, so what do you expect?
Is he actually dating her, or is that just like a fucking ploy?
I don't know, but they seem to be. She seems to be the same girl for the last how many years?
Oh no, I don't follow him too much. I started following.
6 years.
I never liked rap for the longest time. I was anti-rap. I called it retards attempting poetry. But there's this Canadian guy. His name's Chris Webby. I discovered him after I discovered Tom McDonald, and I moved right on over to Chris Webby's fucking fan train because he speaks from a Canadian mindset. But at the same time, I do have to say, when you say, oh, they're not American, you should make sure you specify that they're not like United States American, because at the end of the day, I'm American. Yeah. I'm North American. Canada's part of North America.
It is. I mean, you go to the.
I'm an American. I do like Logic. I fell out of him because he only did like 3 or 4 songs. I didn't mind, but most of his stuff, I'm like, nah, not my jam. So if that's basically his wife, is Megan Fox still MGK's wife?
No, I think no. They split
whatever.
They split a few months ago, him and MGK. It was
So did she lose a finger when she took that ring off? Because I know like he gave her a ring or whatever that has spikes in it. So if she ever tried to take it off, it would cause her harm or some shit because he's fucked in the head.
I don't know, but all I know is that as fucked in the head as MGK might have been before that relationship, he was even more fucked in the head after. They started wearing like matching outfits and dyeing their hair. That whole thing is just.
It's why I stopped liking that man. There was a point where I was somewhat okay with MGK because he kind of combined that metal essence in there. Like he started doing stuff with like the Black Veil Brides and stuff like that with his music. So I kind of like fell into it a little bit. But then I fell out of it again because I didn't realize how fucked up this man really is. But I feel like Eminem going after him fucked him up. Then he dated fucking Megan Fox. And that ate him alive. Like after Black Flag, he was done.
Right.
But again, he's from Ohio. And what do we know about people from Ohio?
Yeah, they're the Florida of the North.
Why can't you claim us? Why can't you claim me? But I mean, don't claim Trudeau because he's not. You all seen my blackface billboard. Y'all seen my blackface billboard.
That. But Eddie, the point being is America just means no mercy. So if Canada's as miserable as the States, then technically it is America.
I mean, we really, really are not Canadian no more.
All right. I mean, if we talked about ice hockey more often, then it would be Canadian and Timmy Hortons, but no.
I can't talk about ice hockey anymore. Florida's in the finals. That is some bullshit. It's like the Maple Leafs making the finals, for fuck's sakes.
To be fair, I mean, the Panthers have been a very talented team the last few years, So they finally broke through.
Okay, so where are all their players from? That's what I'm curious about. Because if they became good all of a sudden, that means they made good trades, and probably none of their hockey players are Floridian.
I think like their captain is from Russia, and like their other star players from Canada, and then a lot of them are mixed from Canada, America, and whatever. But then again, most hockey players are like from 3 provinces anyway.
Well, some of our best hockey players in Canada are Russian.
Yeah, Russian and American. But let me go through some of the comments. Ross says, my bloodlines on either side conclude I should be drunk always, so that's good to know.
Oh, he's a lesbian. He announced it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Cult, I'm not that old. It was not Yugoslavia. It was already collapsed, okay? It was Serbia. Get it right.
Serbia.
Not that old. Yugoslavia. I remember when Harsh got trespassed from Yugoslavia for example. It wasn't Yugoslavia, okay? It was Serbia, and that rabbi was trying to circumcise me. All right? God. Can't even get the story right. Man grabbing leather.
That's football, boys. They stick their hands between each other's ball sacks and tickle them before they grab the pig skin.
Right. Ohio has the most OnlyFans. I think I know who that's a reference to.
Oh, are we talking about the fucking nasty axe stripper that looks like a fucking ship brick house?
I think that's what Holly was referring to. But yeah, Ross says Ben Shapiro wants to suckle his. Someone needs to guillotine him.
Yep, I support that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be offended by that. I'm just surprised right wingers haven't already done that to him. It's like, who is his audience? He's a right winger that pisses off like Trump supporters, and most left wingers think he's a cuck. Who the hell is watching his shows? Like who is still paying attention to him? Yeah. But I will say for real, though, I do wish I did go to Eastern. I did visit Eastern Europe. Never been there. Outside of Russia and maybe Estonia, I don't think I've ever been to like anywhere else in Eastern Europe.
I have never. I'm going to be 100 with you. Outside of going to Florida when I was a teenager, I haven't been out of Western Canada in my entire life.
You've never been to Europe?
Nope.
Wow.
My dad died before he could take me to go visit where he was from. So I never got to experience Europe. But yeah, I've been to British Columbia, Alberta, and the west side of Saskatchewan.
That's awesome. Yeah, Estonians do make the best vodka, even better than Russian vodka, somehow, surprisingly. I don't know how, because Russian vodka is delicious. Hoey says, I've been all over Europe. Now,
Lucky. Brag some more, fucker.
I mean, I'm glad I went to Europe when it wasn't a complete mess. I don't know if I want to go now. Yeah.
I need to go to Europe. It's one of my destinations I'd love to visit.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Europe, I think we were having this conversation before the show. Europe and the States and North America, they're having a problem with their reproduction rates. Because
supposedly,
it's like the average rate needed to survive is at 2.1 when it's only at 1.6, and that's why I brought up the whole, the abortion and the what do you call it? The abortion, the states, the Roe v. Wade being reversed, and the mass immigration. Because mass immigration, exists to screw up the labor force, but it's also there to because it's also there because they're worried that their reproduction rate could be at -1 at some point, and they're like, oh crap, what are we gonna do?
It's either that or start instituting some IQ tests before they have kids, or at least some like basic human understanding.
Well, with the way it's going, they may have to institute IQ tests just to see if they can, survive long enough for that. Because because Roz keeps saying sterilize the world, sterilize that.
Roe versus Wade was overturned mostly to put it in the hands of the states.
Well, that too,
but they never overturned anything like that here in Canada. So that leads me to believe that overpopulation isn't an issue in our country because our livable ground, like same as Japan, the amount of our actual terrain that is livable and habitable by humans is not very high. So we're actually running out of space to put houses and people live in. Now, like I had even said before the show, my big thing is the underpopulation has also started because I feel like some people in my age range that were able to understand and see the way the world was going, most of us knew it was going to be in a state where raising children's not going to be viable anymore. No. Like it's difficult. Like you can't have one person stay home anymore. I don't think the quality of life or the standard of living in either country condones a parent being able to stay home for the first 2 to 3 years of a child's life before they can even go to daycare, like go to preschool.
No. That's a shame, man. That's all by design because they don't want the family unit. They want
us to give over the rights to parenting our children to the government and the school system 100%.
Right. There's that, and also they want the family to be split apart so people are less connected. But yeah, I mean, Roz, that's happening right now. That's already happening in the world's population. Like, half of the main countries in the world are suffering from this. I mean, as someone who isn't one of those nationalities, I'm fine. But that being said,
But then you got other countries where they have to actually implement how many children you can actually have in a household because those countries are so overpopulated that they can't even feed their countries.
Right. No, that's true. But overpopulation is a fake narrative. Hoey is right because it's not a person issue. It's a consumption of resources issue. When you have about 10% of the world's population consuming 90% of the world's resources, you know that it's not what it is. I know they said they're running out of land in Canada or whatever, but I think
it's just because it's all mountainous, or like the Canadian Shield, most of Ontario is literally just a giant plateau of rock.
Right.
So we're stuck in situations where it's like right now they want to try to move everything to renewable energy. When you move to renewable energy, you take away like places that live on this in Vancouver and on
Right.
the coastal regions on the west and the east coast, you can't have underground utilities, right? So it's all above ground utility. So
Right.
that also means that people are now using oil tanks attached to their houses to heat their houses with oil.
Right.
Now, if you want to institute a tax because oil is not a renewable resource and you need to go to green resources, now they're trying to push those people into heat pumps and electric heat. Now you have to start putting all those overhead power lines in, and those cannot withstand a
Right.
lot of those winds that coastal regions endure.
Right.
And heat pumps also don't work in below minus 25 degrees Celsius. And most of Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, and the upper parts of Ontario spend most of their winters at minus 30 to minus 40 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, that's hard for people to survive, especially no matter how used you are to how acclimatized you are to the cold weather. Let me share some comments first. Hoey says oil is literally the original renewable. It is, because this narrative that oil is about to end, or oil is coming, that oil come from America. It came from corporate America. It came from the damn Sinclair Oil Company, like
Yep.
a century ago. It's not even a thing. Carbon broken down. Agreed. And Hoey says, I don't want vaccine AIDS. Hoey, you already look like you got AIDS. What are you talking about? You're like skinny, gaunt, and you're bald, and you're ugly. Like, we got it. And Hoey says they did that for military purposes and trying to control the birth rate. They did in the backlash, and they're also suffering from the reproduction rate too. Because since so many Chinese families were so worried about keeping the family name, if they had a daughter, they would just, they got rid of her, and then they had a man, and if they had a boy, they're like, oh, good, you get to keep the family name, and now they're just, yeah, and now they're screwed. Well, the whole Greek, well, that's true. Let me read some of. I actually like this one. Well, not this one, but I like this one. Send Hawaii to Africa. Agreed. But I mean, they all want to go to. Lots of white people are in Cape Town, so maybe they're gonna fight for their Johannesburg rights. I don't know. Maybe they're gonna fight for their rights. Or not rights, maybe not rights. Maybe they're gonna fight for a piece of land, and Hoey's gonna be like one of the main Boers people. Because I mean, he is a reject Germans, and the Dutch are rejects. No, and the Boers people are reject Dutch, and the Dutch come from the Germans. So there you go. And Ross said all I read was Jackie and skin tight leather. So
Oh, what, calling me a Nazi like my lovely profile picture that I love so much that Roz made for me?
yeah, Jackie with a Nazi vibe, and Ross said, yeah, Jackie and skin tight leather. That's because Ross was thinking about that. But no, I do agree with what Ross says. The whole electric green is exactly that shit. The U.S. is prepared for that. The grid will show. I vote nuclear fusion. Either it works or we all die. Well, the thing is, nuclear power would probably be better than this green stuff, because what people don't realize is the green technology, the green technology that did exist, that was actually sufficient, that was productive, that was useful, it all got destroyed decades ago. So this green technology, this green energy isn't even all that green. It's actually not sufficient. It's not productive, and it's not even that green. I mean, everyone talks about electric cars is better than gas, but guess what? Guess how much cobalt they've had to mine just for those damn lithium batteries.
That's just it. And have you looked at the way that they have to mine for that, as opposed to the way that we deal with oil?
Sure.
Like, yeah, of course, I'm going to be a selfish individual because where I live and have grown up, it is a oil country. Like, that's how we make our money. That's how we pay our subsistence payments to the rest of the country.
Right.
It's through our oil production and our oil trade.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The people working on those oil pipelines or oil fields or oil trade, whatever, they're adults. They're consenting adults. The people mining cobalt in Africa are children. That's basically another form of slavery. And you're also mining 70,000 years worth of cobalt for supposed green energy.
Well, and actually they do have mines in a few other countries as well that they're trying to harness that for. But what a lot of people haven't read about or actually paid attention to is some of the other places they're looking at getting some of this renewable green energy.
Right.
We're looking at getting that possibly from Yellowstone. They're thinking now that they can actually harness and utilize the volcanoes to produce power.
Right.
But in that same breath, they also are now looking at other options for carbon capture, because apparently carbon is what's killing the planet.
Yeah.
Make it make sense when
It doesn't.
trees create carbon. We breathe carbon. We are carbon.
Right. It's not. There's no logic in it. If they were that concerned with green energy, they would not have gotten rid of the technology that was there for green. That was there for legit green energy. They wouldn't have done it. And I really like what Howie says. Wind pumps pump how much concrete into the ground? And he also says, where do you dispose of the electrical car back? Agreed. No, but fracking, I will say fracking is not good, though. It is not. I do not agree with fracking at all. That's one of the.
Oh, absolutely. But here's the thing, though.
Dangerous.
That is something that is also naturally caused in the ground as well, too. There is a huge misinformation spread about fracking. Now, when they actually choose just to utilize that method, yes, they are damaging the environment in that aspect. But there are situations that do call for it and do require it, and it occurs naturally in the ground on its own as well. So, I mean,
yeah, it sounds like a double.
But that also involves knowing a hell of a lot more about what goes on in those situations than what you are fed by media and the government.
Right. And frack, of course, always being funny with this. Frack Yellowstone, it ended all, blah, blah, blah. All right, now let's go back to a more serious comment from Ross, who was piggybacking off my train of thought. He says, if they gave a about real solution, everyone figured out running vehicles on water wouldn't have mysteriously had it. Yeah, agreed. Like I said before, they destroyed all the technology that actually was good for the environment. They destroyed them. And so yeah, Roz is 100% right about that. Roz also says that electric cars are literal landmines on wheels. Defective ones with mine to make them will eventually run out as well. Yeah, the cobalt will run out. It's not a band-aid solution like wrapping sandpaper over a wound. Agreed. People understand you can only mine so many minerals. You can only mine so much cobalt. At some point, it runs out. And if people want to talk about an actual never-ending, an actual like limited resource, it's that.
Okay, but now here's the thing, though, is where you're saying, like, yes, they're going to overmine it and it's going to run out. Now, how did some of these minerals, like some people have tried to state that some of these minerals have appeared on our planet due to space rocks. So if in reality those are where those minerals came from, could that not be why they're trying to push all of this space travel and all of this ability to go to other planets? It's not to give us life on other planets, but is it not to repurpose and replenish lost minerals due to us being greedy sons of bitches?
It's certainly possible. I mean, not to make it about the same old stereotypes, but colonization knows no planets. Like, it really doesn't.
Valid point, but then that's just human nature. We can't just put that on a singular race just because other people didn't have the ability or think to do so right away. They have still come back the same way, wanting to have that supreme power as well.
Yeah.
And because they don't have either the numbers or the cultural background to do so, it doesn't really take that away from them, because it's not just the white people that have tried to colonize other places. It's a whole bunch of other people. Colonization is a human trait, I think. Is also an animal trait, though, too. Like when we did our thing on dogs, right? that was the big thing. It was even them trying to dominate the situation that was put in front of them.
Yeah, Episan was king of it was king of the plains, and then it was a lead dog. It was the top dog of the plains, and then cats came and other predators came, and that was that. So
Well, and that's just it. So who's going to be the predator that's going to come? I'm actually kind of curious on who's going to overtake us, because at some point something's going to overtake us as well.
that's true, but we may be our own demise. We just may cause our own demise. We just may cause it. I mean, especially we're talking about like some of these top species as well, or even the dinosaurs or whatnot. It's like a lot of these species that once ruled the earth, they self-destructed because they couldn't adapt. And that very well could happen.
I actually think it will happen, especially with us needing to adapt to situations that we're creating for ourselves and have not thought in advance on how we're going to settle those situations.
All right. I mean, let's keep it real. There's a reason why they're talking about going to space. Just like there's a reason why they have no problem going on like CNBC or CNN or some of these other mainstream programs talking about their underground space, like their luxurious space bunkers, the elites of the elites. And I don't think it's because they're just interested or they're just showing off their toys. I think it's because they're trying to tell us a message.
They may be trying to tell us a message, and I do think that as well, but I also do think it may have started throughout the belief and throughout the thought that some of these things that we thrive and live off of did not come from our own planet. Now, we don't know how it came here. We are assuming because nobody wants to side with or believe. Now, I mean, nowadays, yeah, they do, because it's a new distraction method. It's something more entertaining than humans killing each other. So it's like, oh, the aliens are coming back. The aliens are who brought it. The aliens are who did it.
The aliens. It's
Yeah, exactly, right? So that's our new thing right now, right?
Right. No, that's true. And then Howie says, space is a joke. We make that up. I'm not a flat earther, but when was the last time a person was on the moon? I don't know, sometime from America, sometime in the 70s. Skynet will learn.
It's already, AI is already learning. I've watched some interactions with some of this new AI that they've put out, and you can actually see and hear it growing and changing as you deal with it yourself.
Right. Aliens are us. NASA aborted Deepwater Explorer because they couldn't handle the pressure. Yeah, that probably is true. But I think Ross has it right. Howie is Skynet. That's why he's got like that shit-eating grin and he's so bald and he's like so ginger. I think like some of the grays in his beard are like signals that he's like that he's just relaying to the powers that be. That's what I think he's doing.
I think Howie is our NSA.
He is. Man.
That's why he's on this whole thing. That's why he gets all excited and wants us to keep talking more. He's like, hey.
Yeah, he's a spy. He's a narc. Freaking narc. That's why they lose their hair early, because they're narcs. Anyway, Ross has a good one. What if they mine, too far as well? Exactly. What they mine deeper than they drill for oil? Elon may catch a face one day catch a face full of magma. Well, the sooner the better, because he also wants to implant microchips in people's brains. So, the sooner he falls into a volcano, the better. But no, but also, yeah, you are, like I've said, when you mine that much cobalt, like 70,000 years worth of cobalt for a environmentally, safe technology, that's a problem. That's a very big problem to where they might do that for cobalt. And now you're going to have a worse situation for a worse form of fuel. And I do like this theory, although this is like wishful thinking at this point. Nah, let the idiots fuck off into space. utilize the colonization of a different planet, make money, and leave Earth. Leave Earth as a sanctuary world or something. Let nature reclaim it and leave me here. Yeah, that's what do you call it? That's wishful thinking. Just let all the idiots want to destroy the planet and genocide everybody. Just go on their new planet. You know, if they want to colonize that and bring back all the resources. That's great. If not, oh well. Let them perish. I don't care either. No, but there's another comment I skipped over. I wanted to make a fun joke. Not to make a joke. Look, just because I chose Chandra Bose over Gandhi does not mean I'm a Nazi, okay? Harsh with the 6 degrees of separation of Nazi. I did not see that one coming. See, hi. Oh, yeah. I will say, I am reading back about, what happened. I don't know if I don't know who the good guys were now that I think about it. Both sides are pretty bad. I mean, when you can starve 20 million people to death and be considered a war hero, that's very alarming. Just going to say that.
I'm completely on board with Roz on NASA boarding deep sea exploration. I am 100% on board with that.
Yeah.
Because the more I actually even sit down and talk with Max and the longer I think about it, I 100% believe it. Where does most of the wild and obscene stories come from? It comes from the depths of our seas. Not from our stars, not from our heavens, air quote.
No.
It comes from our waters.
It does. What people don't realize is that the land mass of a water, like the bottom of the sea or the bottom of the bottom of the ocean or the sea, it's no different than than like a land like something above sea, or it's regular land period, where it has its like peaks and valleys, its mountains, its canyons, and all that. People fail to realize that.
Roz, I actually feel like there is a deep sea station.
There might be.
Like, I mean, so back in the day when I used to try to think that I could be like some big drug smuggler, I used to ask people and be like, how many people have actually tried diving underneath the border? As opposed to just like walking over the border or like trying to like dig tunnels that cross the border. Why has nobody tried smuggling drugs underwater?
That's a good question.
And then somebody said, well, there's actually ways that they can detect if you try to cross the border at depths underwater. Well, how would they do that? How would they know that somebody has fucking dove underneath the water and dove underneath the border?
Well, it depends what body of water you're using. If you're using the Pacific, you might as well just quit while you're behind, because there's all sorts of military bases over there.
But I'm talking about like diving under. Like there's a depth where they can't really, because you'd think sonar would have picked up all those creatures that they're only just discovering now and stuff like that, right? Like, I actually think Roz might be onto something.
No, he is onto something, but you also have to remember the ocean gate thing too. You go down a far level of depth, you might not. You and your drugs may both perish. So I don't know, but yeah, I kind of like this Antarctica thing though.
Oh no, Antarctica is a fun little. It's a really fun rabbit hole. It's also amusing to just kind of see how some of these scientists, like when they post their videos and stuff like that, kind of makes you wonder.
I'm just saying, if we all flew down if we all flew down to Argentina sometime during the summer, meet up with some of Howie's Nazi relatives. If we, if we all flew down to Argentina and then we took a nice we rented out and took a nice cruise down to the to Antarctica, Antarctic cruise for a week or something. Maybe you could figure some stuff out.
Well, there's a passage that they have to take the boat through to get to Antarctica that is very difficult to pass at certain times of the year. I can't remember the name of it right now because I did dumps tonight, but there's a really good video on it. But it's really hard to get there. Rob Argentinians. Is that what you told me to do?
No,
yes,
no,
Rob. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, rob the people who are going to rob you. That's what you should do, clearly. Yes. Yes. Rob the people trying to rob you. No, I feel bad for them because I feel bad for Argentina because while they have some beautiful cities there, their economic system is also their economic system's also screwing themselves over. Where it's like their currency during the day is somehow like half of what it's worth at night. It's messed up. But yeah, Buenos Aires is a beautiful city, and they have some other cities that are like. It's weird because like even though it's South America, it's supposed to be Latin America. It's a very European style country because a lot of the people in Argentina are like transplanted from Italy, or like Italian descendants.
Huh.
Yeah, and then we also that's why they're very big on Italian culture in Argentina, even though they're all Spanish speaking. But that being said, I do find it odd that you have Argentina is like full of Italians, Italian descendants, and then after World War II, a lot of conspiracy. He says a be glad you're North American conspiracy. Hitler wasn't my uncle. I'm not saying Hitler was your uncle. I'm just saying you probably had some Nazis working for the. I'm saying you probably were related to some Nazis who went to Argentina. So I do find it odd. I do find it odd that there's a lot of World War II related people in Argentina. It's like you've got the Italians and the Germans. How many Japanese you think are there?
So are we gonna find any Tupac relatives there too, or any Elvis relatives?
I don't know. I think Tupac may be in like Cuba. I thought Tupac was either in Cuba or Africa or Belize or something. And
why don't you go back to Africa? I mean, go to Africa. Sorry, that was racist.
Well, I mean, 20 years ago it'd be racist. Now it just seems like a contingency plan for a lot of people. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of white people in Cape Town that are trying to like turn Cape Town into their own country. Like I don't even hear the what do you call it? I've even heard the phrase. I don't think I've even heard the phrase "go back to Africa" anymore. As an Indian, as a person of Indian origin, there's a lot of Indian people in South Africa. So, like, I think I had this conversation of a few days ago at this party, and we're talking about that Max's get together. I think we said this before the show, and we're talking about how if the Western world collapses, people like Ert and I, because it was like pro Africa and I'm like pro India. It's like people like Ert and I would be fine because I could go to India or South Africa and he'd have the whole continent. Whereas, a lot of the Westerners, you got South Africa, but then where else do you really have? You got like Cape Town, but then where else are you really gonna go? I don't know. In Africa, do you just like convert?
I guess we're all going back to Jonestown, boys.
Yeah, you guys go to Cape Town well, not known Jonestown. We don't want you there either. Sorry, you definitely don't want the holy types. No. You had
come on! I love cults. Let's go for a cult. Come on.
You guys can have your little cult in Cape Town. I'm gonna chill in Johannesburg with my people. All right, but the bottom line though is, but I'm just wondering where the rest of the Westerners go. Do they all just like convert to Did they all go convert to Islam and go to like Egypt?
I'm not Trudeau. Sorry. No, I'm not going to.
Are they going to do they all what do you call it? I mean, do
Guess
they
we
all
all go back to Britain and
yeah, but they all want to leave too. So where are you guys gonna go to like the Mediterranean and hope that the Italians and Greeks respect
I
you
don't
a
know,
bit?
I hear Bali's nice this time of year.
I don't know. It's gonna be weird. We're gonna be seeing like the going at like it's gonna be a really weird time, and you're gonna see a lot of Western people going to places like Africa and having mass migrations to like Africa and Asia, and we're gonna be like, what are y'all doing here? What do y'all want? What the
I don't know, every white person I talk to here, they're all like, I'm going to Australia, I'm going to New Zealand, or I'm going here.
Well, people in Australia are like, you don't want to come here. You don't want to come here. It's bad for you. Right. Hoey, people like you have guns. You guys have guns for now. Yeah, that's all great. We're saying after the collapse, not before. But LMAFO, you really had the conversation. I mean, you have to remember, people. A lot of people are already talking about the collapse of Western society. It's not a matter of when; it's if. You know.
Yeah, it is a matter of when, not if.
It's not. Yeah. Like I said, there are. There are lots of. Like I said, there are lots of people that are quote unquote Caucasians. That are there, especially in parts of South Africa. I mean, hell, freaking who was Miss Zimbabwe? It was like some British. It was some British blonde lady who called herself Brooke Jackson. It's like,
I really don't think I've heard of that one.
yeah. Like I said, it's getting to the point where, it went from sending certain people to just. It's at the point where. It's just.
I am going to enjoy that Kool-Aid so much.
Which one?
I don't know. Roz wants to give me some Kool-Aid because of Jonestown, because that's where Jim Jones brought all those people from the United States, like black people and white people. He convinced them that taking them to Jonestown was going to allow them to flee segregation and be able to marry whoever they want. So it was like blacks and whites that wanted to live in harmony together. So they all fled the United States to go live in Africa and Jonestown.
Guyana's not in Jonestown. Guyana's in the Caribbean. It's in the Caribbean. It's actually at the. It's one of the northern countries in South America. So they already have that. So no. Can we start with the cast of The View? They may not live long enough for that. Or are we kidding? They have their own underground bunkers. Who knows? The West is already no. This is nothing. This is going to get a lot worse.
This is the beginning, you guys. This is the beginning of the end.
There's a British penal. It is. It's actually still a British Commonwealth. Have you seen Miss Georgia? No. Yeah. I don't want your Kool-Aid, Ross. You know what? I don't want your Kool-Aid. No. You're Lord knows what you did with the Kool-Aid in the first place. Yeah, Jonestown was in Guyana, which is kind of weird. There's actually a lot of you're not gonna believe what the who has the most amount of people in Guyana. It's actually Indian people are the main are actually the main population. See, look. Guyana's like right there. That's on the main side. Yeah. And just for what do you call it? Just for the rule's sake. 5 languages, ethnic groups, Indian, 39.8% India, like, and then 29.3% Africa and multiracial. So yeah, that Jonestown thing just seemed like suicide from the beginning, didn't it? For people like for the cult. Yeah. Jackie, you're so silent. Are you already having dinner?
I'm cooking dinner right now
What are you
because
cooking?
it is dinner time, and my poor man is shriveling away before my very eyes right now.
That's like, what are you cooking?
We are making chicken and pierogies
Oh, very nice.
because I'm a basic white bitch.
Well, but pierogi, does that mean you're Eastern European?
I already told you I'm freaking German and Welsh, and
Yeah.
pierogies are a Dutch food, actually.
I remember in Russia.
Or Ukrainian, one of the two.
Well, yeah, the Dutch are just weird. But yeah, they have a Ukrainian.
Yeah,
They're
so
big in-
dinner is cooked. I just need to serve it up and eat it. So I am actually about ready to tell y'all evening, and I'll see y'all on Sunday.
And on that note, this has been another edition of the Crayola Sec Harsh Reality. Not that site. That site's dead. Fuck that site. This has been another edition of CSHR Radio. We thank Hoey for being everyone's favorite, America's favorite stereotype. We also thank Miss Hyde of the many ethnicities she is for joining the show. Miss Herbalations herself. And yes, no, there is no such thing as race as much as there is about the ethnicity. I mean, race does exist, but it's kind of lazy. Like if
we need to get past that point. And yes,
Yeah.
I mean, ethnicity is one thing, but race, I really would like to move away from that, especially when right now it's not just a race war, it's a gender war, it's a gender conformity war, it is an everything war. I'm ready to just dip on the one war and focus right where we are.
Right.
That is being together against the one thing, and that is the deep state.
Yeah, that's all we care, because like a fellow like Chris Lewis once said, we're all we got.
We are all we got, and until we learn to live and work together, we're not going to actually face this problem and come out on top. Like the Bug's Life taught us all. Yeah. How many of us are there, and how many of them are there? Yeah. If all of us stood up and decided at once we were going to just face against them, we would win. But because we're too divided amongst each other and argue with each other, love each other, stay high, and get high with me on Sunday.
Yeah, I might take some edibles for that show. And remember, sometimes the golden rule is in fact a two-way street, especially if you want to bring people together.
Facts. All right, have a good evening, guys. Bye.
All right, take care, everyone, and remember, life is harsh once to live it.